Thank you for joining in. Today we have a very interesting session on e-commerce SEO, everything you need to know to succeed in 2015. Today we have Sarvesh with us. He's CEO and founder with Tech Magnet. So today he's going to share his experiences and let us know why SEO is important in digital strategy and what value that it serves. Hi Sarvesh, thank you so much for joining in.
Hi, Srinivas.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining in, giving
Thank you.
your valuable time, right?
My
Uh,
pleasure.
I will, share some of the key takeaways of the session with the audiences, and followed by that, you can take the
Right.
session altogether. So, as a key takeaway of the session, so we are going to talk
Okay.
about the changing trends in search engine optimization in 2015, established best practices for on-page search engine optimization and off-page SEO strategies. Plus, to give an overview of the logistic, we have question panel at the right side. So everybody has been muted by default. So we have question panel at the right side of the platform. Anybody having questions, you can write down the questions. At the end of the session, we'll take up questions in chronological order. Right. So over to you, Sarvesh. We can begin with it.
Hi, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about e-commerce SEO. Before we get started, I'll give a very quick introduction of myself. So I founded Tech Magnet. It's a digital marketing agency 8 years ago. So, I've been doing SEO for over 8 years now. And I've had the privilege on working on, some large e-commerce websites. The more prominent names are Radiga Wellness, Dabur New You, Fab Alley. And a little bit more about Tech Magnet. We were named SEO and PPC Company of the Year in 2014 by CIO Review. In 2010, we were rated as the #3 SEO company in India, and since then we've consistently featured in the top 10 SEO companies list published by top SEOs. So with that, we'll get straight into the webinar. So, like the overview said, first we'll talk about the changing trends in SEO in 2015 and how they impact e-commerce SEO.
Sarvesh, sorry to interrupt you. We are not able to see your, audio. So, video, sorry. So, if you can, share your screen with us, your video, webcam,
Okay.
your webcam.
Okay. So I'm just going to try and figure out how I can do that.
The corner at the platform, the right side of the platform, you have that.
Okay. How about now?
Yes, better. I can see your screen, but I'm not
Yeah.
able to see your presentation.
Right. Okay. How about now?
Better. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I would
Right.
like to check if
So
everybody
like I
can.
said,
Yeah.
get started.
Sure. Sure.
Okay. So, we'll get started with the changing trends, in SEO in 2015. So the most critical factor from my perspective is page load time. Extremely critical for successful SEO in 2015. Slow websites have much higher bounce rates and they don't end up ranking at the top of search engines, and that's primarily because Google will replace them with faster loading websites. So, if your website takes a lot of time to load, so it's not only going to affect your SEO, but that also means it's going to take Google longer to crawl your website, which means it's not necessarily going to index all the content on your website, and all of that hurts your SEO. And most importantly, it also impacts your conversions. Now, Volusion, one of the most popular e-commerce platforms out there, they suggest that load times for a website should be less than 3 seconds on a desktop and 1.5 seconds on mobile. And just to drive home the point, I want to share with you what research says. So around 18% of shoppers abandon the shopping cart if page loads too slowly. Google says that half a second delay results in 20% less traffic to your website. Research by Findery says that reducing page load time by 100 milliseconds can increase your sales by 1%. Now, these are all very, very significant numbers, and just to drive home the point that page load times is absolutely critical. So you might ask, what do we do to improve page load times for the website, right? So there's a number of things that can be done. I'm not going to get into the details of all of those, but I'm going to give you a quick overview. So basically, the smaller your files, the quicker they will load. So there's a concept called gzip compression. So you basically compress your files to reduce their size, and once you reduce the size, it will load quicker. There's again a very similar concept called minify. You basically reduce the size of your CSS and JavaScript files. So again, when you're downloading them, it takes less time to download the page, and it will render faster on the browser. In an e-commerce website, we've got thousands of product images, right? And you typically keep the resolution high so that it looks good, but there's a downside to it because it impacts your performance in terms of download speeds. So you have to optimize images, to the correct size for e-commerce. Also, we work with large e-commerce websites where they've got 50,000, 100,000 products in the database. Now that's a huge, database, and the larger it becomes, it degrades the performance of the server. So it's very important that you also choose a hosting service which has been optimized for e-commerce. And I'm not sure, I don't think many people realize, but you can actually have hosting which is tailored to your e-commerce platform. So, if you're using Magento based e-commerce website, there are actually service providers who optimize their servers for Magento. And you can see significant performance improvements by opting for something like that. And then I've shared this great resource which is got the 10 top tips for optimizing your page speed. So anybody who's technically inclined and wants to find out more can just follow that and see what they have to offer over there. And the screenshot on the right hand side, that's for a website called Bagout. That's a website we're working on, and we've tested the page speed for this website on this Google tool. This is a free tool provided by Google, and Google has scored the website 71 out of 100. And Google also tells you what are the problems that you need to fix and the suggestions for fixing them. So, there are several tools out there that tell you what you need to do. And once again, in my mind, this is one of the most important things that you should do for your website in 2015 is minimize page load. Now, mobile searches. Again, we all know how important mobile searches are. The mobile penetration is increased tremendously in India. Not only are people accessing the internet, but they are actively transacting via mobile phones also. So it goes without saying that in 2015, your e-commerce website has to be mobile responsive. And, you could simply convert your desktop website to become responsive so it renders on the mobile, but that's really not good enough. You also need to optimize your design so that the mobile website actually converts. You want good conversion rates from mobile also. And, in continuation with my previous point, the page load time on mobile has to be even faster because, the internet speeds are slower. So you have to optimize your mobile website so that loads quickly. Now, in late 2014, Google came out with the Hummingbird update. This update, basically meant Google changed its entire search algorithm. And what they changed is that they're now looking at the context of search and not just the search terms, right? And schema is a way, you can help Google understand your content better by giving it context. Schema basically is a markup language, or it's a tagging system with which you can tag your content, and this tagging helps Google understand what your content is about, and therefore it can make a better match between the search terms that the user is searching for and the content on your website. On an e-commerce website, you could use schema to define products, the offers that you have running on your products, if you've got user reviews. And the snippet below is a small example of how the schema can be used for a product. So you're defining the name of the product, you're defining its price, and you're defining its availability. And with this information, Google can understand what the product is about, and it can even show this content in the actual organic search results. So schema is very important as well. Now, another important trend is local searches, and this is important because a lot of e-commerce websites tend to ignore this. E-commerce websites, usually you would pick out category keywords or product keywords to optimize your website for. But if you're running an omni-channel business, then local searches are absolutely critical. So we have a client near you who's got physical stores, and we get a lot of searches for store locations, and a significant amount of their organic traffic is actually searches for store location. So local searches is something that you must incorporate in your strategy. It's not something you can ignore. In my previous slide, we said that a lot of searches are happening through mobile. Mobile has become very relevant, and with mobile, Google can now pick up signals like what is the location from where the search has been triggered, and then what is your distance from the target location. And these little signals are again very important in the case of local searches. So local keywords is something that you must build in to your strategy for e-commerce. It just gives you one added dimension. Again, if you've been doing SEO on your e-commerce website for some time, you must be aware that there have been a lot of updates from Google over the last couple of years. The most important ones being the Google Penguin and Panda updates, which are related with poor quality content and poor quality backlinks. So in the case of an e-commerce website, we've got thousands of products, and it's very easy to have duplicate products on the site and maybe even duplicate product descriptions. And having a lot of duplicate content basically raises a flag, and there is a possibility that your website might be penalized by Panda. So, it's very important that you keep this in check. Even now, we come across websites who are doing keyword stuffing in their product descriptions. If they're writing blog content, they just stuff it with keywords, and this is an absolute no-no in today's day and age. As far as linking is concerned, a lot of e-commerce websites, put their banners on affiliate websites or partner websites, and they also get backlinks from their partners. And sometimes you end up getting site-wide links. And again, this is frowned upon as far as SEO is concerned. I also highly recommend to any client that we work with that they get a thorough backlink profile audit. So basically, all websites have got links, you build backlinks to boost your SEO. So it's important that you proactively keep auditing and checking what kind of links you're getting. And, if you discover any spammy links from, built by your previous SEO companies, or by previous SEOs, you basically need to prune those links and get rid of them, because this could really come back to bite you. So while you may not lose or drop traffic, it may even hold you back from improving your rankings, even though you might be doing all the right things now, just because you've got a few old bad links in your profile. And a lot of times people tend to ignore these things, thinking that they are not likely to get penalized, but we must keep in mind that a giant like eBay was penalized in 2014. So black hat tactics are an absolute no. And sometimes these issues occur in e-commerce, large e-commerce websites without you intending to do them, but because, it's the reality, it's important that you keep looking out for these things. Then there was another update from Google middle of last year, basically encouraging website users to secure their website. So Google suggested that everybody who's using HTTP should migrate to HTTPS, which is basically secure HTTP. Now, anybody who's running an e-commerce website, you know that when you're dealing with the payment gateway or the pages where you're basically taking credit card information, those pages you make them secure with the HTTPS protocol. But what Google is saying now is that they'd like you to make all pages on the website. So even your home page, even your product pages should all be HTTPS. And Google is saying that they're using HTTPS as a ranking signal. And there was a mad rush after the announcement where a lot of e-commerce websites went ahead and converted their websites from HTTP to HTTPS. Now at Tech Magnet, we also went ahead and converted a lot of our websites to HTTPS, a lot of our client websites. So while that hasn't hurt us, I can't say for sure that it's benefited our clients as well. However, what I've learned is that if you don't implement the migration or if you don't manage the migration from HTTP to HTTPS effectively, it could adversely impact your website because it could lead to a number of issues of duplicate content. So, these were the top 4 or 5 trends, SEO trends in 2015 that you should look out for. And, now I'll move into what are the established best practices for SEO. So, again, one of the most critical things on an e-commerce website is that you should have a clean URL structure. Now, if you look at my first bullet, it says build relevant category and product URLs. And with this, I've got 2 examples. If you look at the first example, that's an example of a product page which has all these numbers and parameters in the product URL. And by looking at this URL, there's no way for me to tell what is the content that is residing on that page. And then if you look at the second example of a product page, it very clearly says red Nike shoe. So with this, as a user and even as the search engine, I can tell very clearly what is the content that I'm going to get if I were to click on this link. So it's very important that you build this clean URL structure, to make it search engine friendly because it helps improve your rankings. It helps get more content index in Google's index. Very, very important. And another related issue is that on e-commerce websites, because the URL structures are not clean, it results in a number of duplicate content problems. So what is duplicate content? Any content or the same content, if it's residing on 2 or more URLs, then that is deemed as duplicate by Google. And this is actually one of the biggest menaces in an e-commerce website, because we've got all these features and functionalities for, sorting content, or, there are filters, you might have multiple pages, and all of these features contribute to this problem of duplicate content. So if you look at this screenshot now, on the Religare Wellness website, I'm looking at the vitamin and supplements category. And on the left-hand side, we've got all these filters which says ailments and condition, herbs, and so on and so forth. So, if I were to click on any one of these filters, it would basically show me a subset of the content which is on this page. So it's essentially the same content, but it might in some cases generate another URL, and both these URLs now have very similar content on them. Again, if I were to use a sorting feature, right now the products are sorted by the most popular. If I were to sort the products on my e-commerce website by price, then it's again the same content which is just getting reordered. And if I end up generating a second URL, now I've got two URLs with the same content. And this is a problem of duplicate content. And if you take into account all the different filters and sorting options that you have on a website or on any single page in on an e-commerce website, you could actually have 30, 40, 50 duplicate versions of the same page, and that can become a massive problem in e-commerce. So having a clean URL structure and minimizing duplicate content is absolutely essential for successful SEO. Now there are several solutions to dealing with this problem. These are slightly technical solutions, and somebody who's familiar with SEO may understand these. In today's case, for today's webinar, I'm not going to get into the details of all of these, but I will walk you through one or two solutions. So the first one, which is rel is equal to canonical. Now this is a directive that you can use on the 4 or 5 duplicate versions of your page to tell Google that which the most authoritative version of that page is. And you're telling Google that this authoritative version is the one that it should show in search results, and it should ignore the 4 or 5 duplicates. Right. Similarly, if you've got, say 5 pages on your vitamin and supplements category, so there's a page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can use the next directive, which is rel is equal to previous and next, telling Google that these are 5 pages, so in this series, and therefore the most authoritative page being page 1 is what you should feature in your search results, and pages 2, 3, 4 and 5 can be ignored. And so these are some solutions that one can apply on on your e-commerce website. I mean, these are applicable on any website, but it's just that these issues are typical to an e-commerce website, and so this is how you would solve these problems. Now another common problem is that another solution is that you should set the preferred domain, the www version or the non-www version of your website, because even at a domain level, if that is not sorted, you could have 2 versions of every page, one www version and one non-www version. So you must set a preferred domain. In most cases, people say that the www version is what they prefer, and therefore all URLs get rendered that way. Another common problem on e-commerce websites is we've got internal search functions, and when you run an internal search, a lot of times the URLs or the search results that show up, the pages sometimes are duplicate, because they'll show up the same content which is available on a category page or on a product page, but now the same content is appearing in a search results page. So again, you've got 2 URLs spitting out the same content, and this again leads to duplicate content issues. So the way your internal search works is also something that needs to be looked into, and it needs to be refined on an e-commerce website. Now, moving on, it's very important that we also have unique content on any website, and in the case of e-commerce, it's important that you have unique product descriptions. A lot of times when clients make their websites live, we see that they picked up the manufacturer's original description for the content and they've planted that on your website, and and then you're trying to we already know e-commerce is a very competitive environment, and you're trying to compete with the likes of Flipkart, Jabong, and Myntra, and these are guys who got, literally billions of dollars behind them that they've invested in marketing money, and you're trying to compete with these guys. So the least you can do is put in the effort to make sure you've got unique content, unique product descriptions on your website. Otherwise, you don't stand a chance at all. Also important that you write very catchy meta descriptions. So the meta description is the portion which shows up in the search results when you search for something. If you've got catchy descriptions, then even if you're showing up in the 6th or the 7th position in Google search results, there's a likelihood that you'll catch somebody's attention and they'll click through and come to your website even before they click on one of the higher results. So a catchy meta description could result in a higher click-through rate, and if you're able to maintain that consistently across your website, then Google might actually reward you with higher rankings. So again, something to look out for. Encourage user reviews. So, Google loves unique, freshly generated content. Typically product pages are very static pages. The content on a page may not change. At most you'll mark it as out of stock or in stock, but that's as much as, the content changes. But, if you've got, active users who are leaving reviews on your website, and these reviews, are getting updated on a regular basis, that is, absolutely brilliant from an SEO point of view, because Google loves unique, freshly generated content. Also look at setting up a blog on your website. You must encourage your community to start conversations, by talking about the latest trends. So for example, if the summer season is on, you might want to talk about, how to keep yourself hydrated in the summer, or, how to dress in the summer. And these are all opportunities for you to build links back to individual product pages on your website. So these links will not only drive your community and traffic to the product pages leading to sales, but these links also help from an SEO point of view to pass link juice, which ultimately helps improve the rankings for the product pages. So, from a content perspective, it's important that you pay attention to these 4 suggestions. Also, a lot of times when we work with clients, they select a list of keywords, and the list of keywords that they usually select are, the most general single word keywords. So clients will come and tell me that, I want to rank for bed sheets because bed sheets has got 10,000 or 20,000 searches per month, right? And however, again, when you're running an e-commerce website, again, the competition is so strong, and there are so many people who've been already doing SEO for these target keywords for a long time. They already dominate that space. To replace them, it takes time, so you can't sort of hope or expect to rank for general keywords like bed sheets, in any reasonable amount of time. And therefore, we always recommend that you must optimize your website for long tail keywords. Right, so while a long tail keyword like buy yellow cotton bed sheets may have only say 10 searches a month, but you could possibly identify 5,000 to 10,000 keywords on your website, long tail keywords on your website, each of which have 10 searches each, and there's a good chance that you may end up ranking for a large number of them, in which case you'll actually end up driving more traffic from your long tail keywords than you would from a very general category keyword. And the even bigger advantage here is that long tail keywords have a much higher conversion rate than general keywords. So this is something that I feel that a lot of people do wrong by picking out category keywords as opposed to focusing on long tail keywords. And once you're able to drive significant traffic from long tail keywords, that automatically helps build domain authority. It helps you get leverage with Google, and then you can look at trying to rank for shorter tail keywords, and moving towards more general keywords. But begin with the long tail keywords. It'll really benefit you, both in the short term as well as in the long term. Now, social signals, again, with all the changing algorithms, social signals are still, they were very important. They continue to be important. You must integrate social sharing buttons on your product pages. If you've got users who are coming and they like the products, they may share your product pages on social media, and these social interactions that happen, those are signals to Google that your content is popular, that your product is liked, and that too helps build search rankings and also brand value on social media. Now, a number of times when products go out of stock, there's a tendency for people to remove those pages from the e-commerce website. But it's very important that you keep your pages for out of stock items live and running on the website, because that gives Google a large, stable set of content that it can index and keep it indexed, right? You can look at other ways to tell users the product is not available. Let them come to the page, let Google know that the page is still there, and when the user comes on the page, you could tell them, listen, this is out of stock, but these are other related products that might interest you. So, these were the best practices that I had to share. Now, moving forward, there are two more general tips that I would like to share with you. And the first is, you must do regular health checks for your e-commerce website. See, now e-commerce website is huge in terms of number of pages, and it's a very dynamic sort of a website because, your stocks are changing, your prices may be changing, your assortment might be changing, so you're constantly uploading content onto your server, and sometimes in the process things break or you inadvertently end up creating issues in the system which you may not know. And therefore, rather than reacting to issues, it's better that you proactively keep doing health checks. And the way to do that is to basically monitor Google Webmaster Tools. Right? Sometimes you could have issues with your sitemaps. You might have added new products to your website, but they don't reflect in the sitemap, and therefore they don't get indexed. Alternatively, your server is not performing optimally, as a result of which Google may reduce its crawl frequency on your website, as a result of which, again, your content may not get indexed. So, these are little things that Google Webmaster Tool will tell you to look out for. A lot of times, when you've suddenly removed, out of stock products, you might have, a number of broken links on your website. So a page which existed yesterday is not available on the server anymore today, right? And that might cause a broken link. So these are the type of issues which keep coming up, and they impact your overall performance. And these are things that you must look out for. So this requires a little bit of discipline. But if you initiate these checks on a regular basis, it will help you keep things in control, and your SEO will be healthy. Now this is a screenshot of the Google Webmaster Tools dashboard, and if you can see my mouse moving, this is the section where they're talking about crawl errors, and here at the bottom you can see that Google is saying there are 7,000 server errors, right? So that's a large number of errors. And this is something that you need to look out for and you need to address on a regular basis. Now, over here, Google is providing stats on the URLs that you've submitted via sitemap. So now these numbers over here are showing that you've submitted 88,000 URLs in your sitemap to Google, meaning there are 88,000 pages on your website. However, it shows that only 5,000 pages or 5,000 URLs are indexed. Now that's a major cause for concern, right? If you've got 88,000 products on your website and only 5,000 of them are indexed, only 5,000 of them stand a chance of possibly ranking in Google. The other 83,000 are not going to rank. Right? So these are some basic checks that one must do on a regular basis to make sure that things are working smoothly. And another tip here is advanced e-commerce analytics. So most of us usually resort to Google Analytics to measure the analytics for the website, and I'm guessing anybody who's running an e-commerce website is also using the e-commerce analytics. But a lot of times we don't end up using advanced e-commerce analytics, which is by default available in Google Analytics. And this has some very powerful features which tells you, which are the products that are the best selling, which are the products which are, contributing maximum to your top line. It tells you what are the type of orders that are being placed, which products featured in what orders, and this is all useful information because you can take that back and optimize your SEO campaign accordingly. So, if you see that your red Nike shoes are selling better than blue Puma shoes, you could, you could tell your SEO team to focus more on red shoes or to focus more on the Nike brand as opposed to the other keywords. So, it's important that you implement advanced e-commerce analytics, and then, that you spend time analyzing that information and draw out insights which then should be applied on your campaign. So, with this, I've sort of summarized my experience with large e-commerce websites. This was a very quick summary of what you need to do on your e-commerce website to make sure it's it's working well. And now I have a 5 to 10 minute exercise for you. This what we're going to do now is basically do an SEO audit for your website. So what I would like you to do is visit this website www.woorank.com, and on that page I'd like you to submit your website URL, and then this tool is basically going to run an audit report, and this is going to take a few minutes. So I'd like you to go ahead and use this tool.
Sarvesh, you can also show that on the browser, your own laptop browser. Some of the examples.
Okay.
Yeah. So that will make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Okay. So what I've done here is I'd already run a report. So again, I went to woorank.com, and here there's the option. You can go in and type in any website. I already put in newu.in, and Woorank has computed the audit report, and it's basically rated this website 73 out of 100, right? And it has told me that I've passed a large number of tests. There are certain parameters on which I need to improve, and I have a few errors in my system. And if I were to scroll down, it's going to tell me a little bit more about the 70 odd parameters on the basis of which it scored my website. So Shanawaz, I think we should give the audience a bit of time to maybe pull out the report for their respective websites.
Yeah, yeah, we can give them. Meanwhile, we can start taking up few of the questions as well. Meanwhile, they can do the exercise. They can come up with their questions, and probably in the meantime, we can take few questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So if there are any questions on the content I've shared,
Sure.
or any other e-commerce or SEO related questions, I'll be happy to take them now.
All right. So we have a question from Nick. He's saying, can you please share this URL which has top 10 tips for optimizing the page speed?
Sure. So I can do that. I'll just have to pull that out. Shanawaz, how can I share it?
Uh, you can go to the
Can I put
chat.
it on chat?
Yeah, you can put it in the chat and send it to all.
Okay. Did you get it?
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
I hope everybody must have got it. Yes, I've shared with everyone. So we have a question from Manisha. Manisha is saying, what are SEO and SMO activities should be used to promote the new e-commerce sites?
So the whether you're a new website or an old website, I think the strategies remain very much the same, right? And I would encourage that you follow the best practices that I've already shared today in terms of SEO. But in terms of social media, again, so social media, what you could do is use the likes of Pinterest, and Instagram, depending on what you're selling. Because in e-commerce you basically have a lot of product pictures, product images, and sometimes the visual elements are very important. So for example, if you're selling dresses, you could create a board on Pinterest where you're sharing the different dresses and things like that, and that could be an effective way to sort of do branding and even drive traffic from Pinterest onto your e-commerce website. So that is one example of something that you could do.
All right. We have another question from Kritika. She's saying,
Mhm.
how can we use e-commerce optimized hosting? Which is the best server provider?
Okay, so there are actually several of them out there. There's something called SiteGround. There's something called Simple Helix. Um, you know, these are both international service providers which are not prevalent in India, but they have fantastic services. I'm currently using them myself and for my clients, and I have no complaints. I mean, they've really helped speed up performance for my clients' e-commerce websites.
All right. So another question we have from Yuvraj. So he's saying, if I have a product and the same product on an e-commerce website, will the same product
Mhm.
description be counted as duplicate content?
So if I understand it correctly, you've got the same product description on your website and on a competitor's website.
Absolutely.
Right. So the way this works is, Google knows, so Google is indexing the internet, crawling the internet and indexing content on a daily basis. So Google will know which website, um, you know, uh, put the content out first, right? So who's the original, which guy who's actually hosting the original content, which guy has copied it. So, if you're the one who's copied the content, or, if you've got, say for example, on the new website, suppose you're selling a Lakme lipstick, right? And there are 100 other e-commerce websites in India today who are selling the same product. And if these 100 e-commerce websites have the same original manufacturer's product description, then that is definitely an issue of duplicate content. And like I said on my presentation earlier, that if you've got only duplicate content, if there's nothing unique, then that basically can raise a flag and you might potentially get penalized. So while there is one risk, the other thing is that you're competing against the likes of Flipkart and Myntra and so on, and how are you going to beat them? You can't beat them by having duplicate content on your website. They've got other factors which are going in their favor. But in your case, if you can't beat them on marketing spends, at least you can do some things more effectively than them in order to sort of get ahead, right?
Mm. So we have another question. So it is from
Mm-hmm.
Mayur. What about URL optimization if I have thousands of the products in my website?
Right. So yeah, URL optimization is absolutely critical, right? When we started best practices, I said you must have a clean URL structure. You might have lakhs of products, lakhs of URLs, but as long as you can give it a proper structure, that is what is important, right? So again, 10 lakh products, 1 lakh products, 10,000 products, doesn't matter what the number is. The products are all categorized, right? So they fall if within a category, within a subcategory, within a sub-subcategory. So if you've defined your structure nicely, cleanly, then it becomes very easy to understand both for the user and for the search engine how the content is organized on the website and what is the content that is residing behind the URL by simply reading the URL. So URL optimization is absolutely critical. I'm not sure if I answered the question. I mean, if you have anything follow-up question to that, I'm happy to field that.
How is SEO site checkups.com for the audit?
Honestly, there are hundreds of these tools out there, and the one that you just named, I haven't used before. But you know what, my go-to tool is Wurang.com, and then I use a couple of other tools like Raven, Ahrefs. So these are some of the tools that I'm using right now.
Okay. So before going to next question, there is a small poll. So I would request everybody to apply for a poll, and then meanwhile we'll take up the question. So the other question is, nowadays there is new trends of sites going mobile. So what are specific technologies required for search engine optimization for mobile based? That one already shared.
Okay, so again, in terms of SEO, from a mobile perspective, you just need to make sure that your website loads really quickly, and secondly that it is a responsive website, right? You can't have the same desktop website, the same version which is rendering on mobiles. You have to have a response. So depending on the size of the device, the page should realign or resize itself. And like I said in my webinar earlier, not only resize itself, but it must be an intuitive interface so that it does not hamper navigation, it does not hamper conversions. So, the technology doesn't change. I mean, it's the same website, you've just made it responsive, so it now renders effectively on the mobile phone.
So we have another question. It says how to configure 404 errors.
Okay, so there are a couple of things here, right? First, you need to get to the bottom of the error. Why are you getting the 404 error in the first place? If you get a 404 error, you must address the problem rather than, so you need to find out why it's happening and fix the problem rather than figuring out how to deal with 404. Right? The problem shouldn't occur in the first place. The 404 error shouldn't come in the first place only. So that is what you need to do. However, if you are unable to resolve the issue, then basically if it's a 404, you must, maybe say redirect the user to the home page. You must serve a 404 error HTTP message to the search engine so it knows that this URL does not exist. But to the user on the 404 page, you must give them alternative pages. So you might tell them, okay, continue shopping, go back to the home page, so that the user doesn't lose interest in the website. They continue to stay on your website and they continue to navigate.
So we have another question from Nirav. Nirav is saying, is still old domain affected in ranking?
Sorry, can you repeat that question, please?
Yeah. Is still old domain affect in ranking?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Uh,
Can you
the
reword
age,
it for me
yes,
or rephrase it?
yes. Is the age of the domain, does that affect the ranking?
Yeah. Yes, of course. So domain age is an important factor. So older domains usually tend to have higher authority. But if you've done black hat SEO on your website, then it doesn't matter how old your website is or how new your website is. So in that case, you're likely to be penalized either way. So domain age is important, but it's not, it's not the only thing that matters.
So how do we get to know that black hat SEO been doing on the website?
Right. So like I said, usually, so there are basically, Google has two algorithms. One deals with bad quality content and the other deals with bad quality links, right? So content, if you've got too many duplicate page titles and too many product descriptions, then you can basically go to your webmaster tools. In the webmaster tools, there is a section where it tells you what the errors on the website are. And it will point out that you've got 13,000 products with duplicate titles, or you've got 15,000 pages with duplicate descriptions. So that is one way to identify that you've got problems of duplicate content. Or at least duplicate meta tags. So that's a starting point which might help you discover then that you've got duplicate content also, right? So this is something that you can address. And then about the second algorithm looks after spammy links, right? And the way to identify whether you've got good or bad quality links is, again, you can go to your webmaster tool. In webmaster tools, Google provides you a list of all the backlinks which are pointing to your website. And this is the link profile that I was referring to. Now you need to download this list of links and you need to go through that entire list to see if those links are quality links or bad links, right? And so if you've got links coming in, you're running an e-commerce website, but you've got a backlink coming from an education website, or if you've got some link coming in from some Russian website which has to do with a topic that has absolutely no relevance to your website, so then that is a senseless link you simply acquired in the past for adding one additional backlink, but it's not adding any value. So this is the type of link that you need to get rid of.
All right. So we have another question. Yeah.
On the content side, content side and on the link side, both you need to be careful.
Sure. So I'll take up another question. So that is from Sandeep. So he's saying recently it is observed that there is a lot of fluctuations in search engine ranking. Any specific Google
Okay.
update recently has come?
No, nothing that I'm aware of. I mean, Google keeps rolling out updates. So, it's very difficult to track them now. Earlier, Google would announce every time a new update was coming, and now it doesn't even send updates, right? So usually there is a lot of chatter amongst the webmasters on the internet, and that's how we realize that there's an update rolling out. So I have not heard of any recent update. However, based on my experience, we do notice that usually, in the fourth week of the month, that's when most of the rankings change. So I think, towards the end of every month, Google basically recalibrates the rankings, and usually towards the fourth week of the month, we see fluctuations in rankings.
All right. So we have another question from Neelam. She's saying, should we select long tail keyword?
Yes, absolutely. So I made that point saying that, people tend to go for general category keywords. So, you select bed sheets because it's got 10,000 searches, and you'll say, okay, I'm not interested in, buy yellow bed sheet online because that has only 10 searches a month. But, in reality, like I said, if you look at all combinations of long tail keywords, you could possibly have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 long tail keywords. And, your website is much more likely to rank for long tail keywords. And if you get your website to rank for, say, even 1,000, 2,000 long tail keywords, these long tail keywords will contribute much more traffic than you would pull in with a handful of category keywords. And having said that, once you've got a certain page authority, domain authority, nothing's stopping you from moving from long tail keywords to short tail keywords, but you just have to be realistic about, other factors. So if you've got a newly launched website and you want to rank for, mobile phones, you're not going to rank for mobile phones, not in the next 6 months, or actually even in the 12 months, you'll be lucky to rank for mobile phones. So in that case, you have to look at long tail keywords.
So Kritika is asking another question. She's saying, how can we build link through blogs?
So like I said, suppose you write a blog post about, how to dress in the summer. And when you're talking about it, you might say that, for a girl, you should wear this, yellow summery top and wear blue shorts with that. And you could actually link the yellow summery top to an actual, yellow tops page, which has got, all the yellow tops listed on that page. So from the blog, now you've created a backlink on a relevant keyword pointing to your product page.
So I think there is a similar question in continuation to what you answered. So Yuvraj is saying, should
Okay.
the blog be on the subdomains or subdirectories?
Okay. So, if you're going to set up a new blog, then you might as well set it up on a subdirectory, right? But if you already have a blog and it's running on a subdomain, I don't think you need to shift it to a subdirectory. It's okay if it's on a subdomain, but if you're going to set it up afresh, I would recommend that you do it on a subdirectory.
All right. So we have another question from Nick. He's saying, how do we go about having dynamic URL for large e-commerce sites?
No, so by default, the URLs are dynamic. They've got all these parameters which are appended to the URLs. So from an SEO point of view, what we want to do is actually convert them into static URLs and make them SEO friendly. Because as long as they're static URLs, then it's easier for Google to crawl them. So the challenge in an e-commerce website is to convert dynamic URLs into static URLs, or non-SEO URL, non-SEF URLs into search engine friendly URLs. And the way to do that, I already explained in the webinar. So the way to do that would be to rewrite the URLs. So you do URL rewriting, a URL which had parameters now gets rewritten to red Nike shoe. You set a 301 redirect from the older URL to the new URL, letting Google know that the content has permanently moved from the older to the new one, and that is the right way to do the rewriting.
I think we have answered almost all the questions. Yes, and no more questions. I think we are not getting any more questions from people. So I think we have got one more question. So
Okay,
Sangeeta has a question. She is
sure.
saying how much important is the product review and how Google can
Sorry, what?
how much important is the product review
Okay.
and how can Google differentiate an original and fake product reviews? Is there any other way to identify fake review other than unique IPs?
So that's a very good question. This is something that we were debating internally also a few weeks ago for one of my clients. And, we weren't able to come to a conclusion. So, I'm not aware of any other way other than IPs, right? So it's actually very difficult to tell, fake reviews from genuine reviews.
Okay. So Yuvraj is asking, what are some scalable white hat link building strategies?
Okay. Now that's a tough one. Um, so on an e-commerce website, a lot of e-commerce websites use couponing now, right? So you could, if you're coming out with coupons regularly, you've got a summer special going on right now. You might have a buy one, get one free or a 30% off. So if you keep taking out these coupons, then, you can always visit websites like Coupon Dunya, Coupon Raja, and submit your coupons and get backlinks to your products and category pages or to your offer pages. So this is one, link building activity for e-commerce websites that you could look at. Um, but, when you say scalable, I mean, you're looking at building high quality backlinks and you want to identify an activity which is scalable. It's very difficult today because that's exactly what, Google doesn't want it to be scalable. Google wants that if it's a good quality link, it should be hard to build. It should take time and energy for you to acquire it, and therefore it shouldn't be scalable. So, we look at, so couponing, building backlinks from coupon sites is something that we look at. That is something scalable. Other than that, we do a lot of guest blog posting. Um, you know, there are websites like, Retail Me Not and other shopping comparison websites where you could upload your product feeds, and you could get reviews and referral traffic from these websites. So these are some things that one can do.
All right, we'll take up last two questions because we are already done with the timing. So,
Okay,
is there any
sure.
tool to check the quality of the content given by content writers?
Okay. We use Copyscape. I think it charges 5 cents per content. So we've got a very strict process. All the content that comes in from the content writers, we first check it on Copyscape to make sure that it's not duplicate. But you all you can do is tell whether it's duplicate or not. There's really no way for you to sort of check the quality of the content. There are other tools out there. I can't remember the names, but there are tools out there which will take a look at your website and give you feedback on the semantics. So, it'll tell you that, okay, if you're writing an article on a particular topic, whether keywords related to that topic are in your content or not, right? But it won't be able to tell whether your grammar is correct or not, you know. So quality of English is your concern, then I'm not aware of any such tool.
All right. So we'll take up this last question. So this is, should non-e-commerce site also have HTTPS, or just only e-commerce site have HTTPS?
So, you know, Google again has recommended that all websites should move in that direction, and especially websites which deal with sensitive information. You know, if you're not dealing with sensitive information, it's okay. You can remain, you know, non-HTTPS. I run a digital marketing agency, and my website, techmagnet.com, we have not migrated. So no, you know, if you don't have an e-commerce website or a non-transactional website, it's okay if you remain HTTP.
All right. So with this, we end up this session, and it was really very interesting. So got to know a lot of things about search engine optimization. It's been always said that it's a black hole. Nobody knows how it comes and where it goes. But you have literally cleared a lot of myth around. So I'm really thankful to
I
you.
certainly hope so.
Thank you so much.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you know, my LinkedIn profile is there. My email ID is here.
sure.
So, you know, if anybody's interested, feel free to send me questions, and, you know, I'll try and respond to them as best as possible.
Sure, sure. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being the part of this session, and love to see you in the next session. All right. Thanks. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Srinivas. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Bye. Take care. Bye.